Hey everybody, guess it works out. It's the first Juno live, so I'm not sure that everything is set up, but yeah, gonna assume we are live or not. But yeah, so am I back? I'm back. I think I'm back. Sorry for that. Like, I should be good. Yeah, alright. So what happened is that my phone took over my headphone and yeah, I told you it's gonna be bumpy. So yeah, let's start. This weekend I was developing Proposals.networks and I added the ability or I started working on supporting SNS proposal. And when I did that, I actually faced an issue. So I thought that it would be maybe interesting that I show you what issue I had and how I solved it, right? So to implement those types of proposals, the SNSs, my idea in the platform is that the user can upload their YAML file for SNSs and their logo. I did that because on the IC right now you use a YAML file to configure and test your SNS, and I think it's going to be handy for Proposal.networks to be compatible with the rest of the platform. So what I did is, okay, I did some styling, whatever, but here I have an input button which triggers few things, but ultimately what it does, it lands in a function with few parameters. And here we have the Juno part, right? So we're gonna upload a file to a particular collection. In my case, I defined two collections, one SNS parameter and one SNS logo. And here it takes a blob, the file, and I give a full path, which is, for example, / name of the collection / name of the file.yaml, right? And a token, sorry, which is used to make that particular file secret, so that if you want to query it on the web, you can only query it if you give the particular secret. All right. So that's basically standard, and it works out. Right. So here, for example, I'm gonna upload that water neuron YAML file, and it's save on chain, right? Same here if I upload the PNG of water neuron, it works out, right? I can get that file. However, what I also wanted to have in that application is the fact that user can maybe do something else and come back later on, right? And here, what I wanted to do, you see there is an error, is when the user load submit SNS, you know, like blah blah blah. Let me search that. 2 seconds. I'm gonna show you why it doesn't work. Right. So you see when the user come back in the, so that's a gigantic init function, whatever, but what I mean is like when the user browse one draft proposal in that particular case, what I want to do is I want to come here and I want to load those two assets that have been uploaded before. That way we can show the user, look, your asset is already here. So what I do is I use the function getAssets, which just give me the metadata of the assets for a particular full path and collection. And then once I got that asset, the idea was to use Node.js or a browser fetch so that I can get the response as a blob. However, as you see here, I've got an error, and here, if I inspect the error, I see that it's a course error, because indeed, per default, course is release restrictive, and I cannot download the file that I have uploaded. So somewhere I would have to set that particular course permission for those particular files. Right, so there are two ways to do that. You can either do that on the file itself, or you can do that globally. So in that particular case here, I've solved it on the file level. So what I can do is, remember when we had that that upload service here, what we can do is here I'm gonna specify some header when I upload the file. And here what I'm gonna do is that I say I want to set the access control origin to something. Of course, I can put whatever, so that every single frontend in the world can fetch that file. But in my particular case, I want to be a bit more restrictive. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna whitelist the origin. So, and if we check what's the origin, you see in the window we got the location, and in the location we got the origin, which is the domain with the port and the HTTP or HTTPS. So if we try again now, I guess I'm fine. So I'm gonna, of course, I have to create a new proposal. Come here, I'm gonna upload my YAML file. Right, and here I'm gonna upload my logo. And I go back here, and then I reload. And normally it should work out. Ah, that's the demo effect. I love it. What did happen again? Ah, so let me revert my code because I know that my code works. Ah, you see, I've put string instead of using the object. My bad. That's funny. All right, so let's do it again. Yeah, like live coding is fun. All right, and here again. And here, if I go, now you see it works out. And here I can have, and I don't have any error. So yeah, it's quite handy to be able to specify those headers on the file level. But what's also interesting maybe to know is that here that means that every time I upload a file, I'm gonna have that metadata. So somehow it's also use a bit of space. So I can also define those headers on the app level. So if we, for example, go to the examples here, and I think here I have like a JSON file. So you have your Juno configuration file. And you see here in that particular case, what I've said is like in the store. So I've got my Juno config. In my satellite storage, I can set headers and I can define pattern, for example, JPEG, but in our case, that would be SVG or so on. And then you can specify a list of headers, such as here, I've put everything. And once you have done such a config, you go in your CLI and you hit Juno config, and then it will config all your application. So yeah, so that was my first example. I hope it was useful. If there are no particular question regarding this, I think we can tackle a bit of more live coding. And yeah, so I think it was last week. Yeah, last week Sun suggested that maybe we can expose the data store to JSON, because then it becomes a bit more easier to query those data if we can just do a fetch and do that on the for public data. And yeah, I think before jumping in doing it in the core, I thought maybe we can try to do that with some serverless function. So try to build that with serverless function and have kind of like a custom solution that does that. Yeah, I'm not. Maybe I should also mention that since it's a recurring event, the idea is like that something we develop together during a during a live stream can be finished another week, and maybe we're gonna build some stuff that least a bit more. And yeah, I'm saying that because there is a chance that we don't manage to do that within the hour, but yeah, we'll see. So what we gonna do to get started? I guess we can create like a simple app, right? And maybe since we gonna publish that on the web, maybe we can add that to the example repo of Juno. Yeah, that sounds not too bad. So in the example here, that's gonna be serverless function, right? So maybe we're gonna put that. Let's put it in Rust. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm gonna close this and close that. And go in the okay. So let's start a new app. So for those who have never seen it, here you have like the command to scaffold a new app. Yeah, let's grab the most recent one, and we can call that one JSON. Yeah, it's not too bad. I don't have a good idea right now, so yeah. And we want to use an application, and yeah, let's take it easy and to Svelte. And I'm gonna use the example because I know that the example already persists data in the backend, and I don't want a GitHub action, and I want to develop locally. And yes, all right. So since I'm gonna develop locally, I know I'm gonna use Docker, so I can start that. All right. Lovely. What's in it? We have the new repository. That's good. We'll maybe do that. Right. All right. We are good. And add all the stuff. Yeah. I'm not really creative in terms of naming today. And that's the one. So we can already create. All right. Good. So at this point, if I start the backend and start the application, that's correct. I was developing something else. So here we are there. Just gonna wait for the backend. I hope video and audio quality are all right, by the way. If not, please scream again. Yeah, I cleaned my Docker state recently, so that's why we have to pull the image. Okay, dokie. Cool, awesome, thanks. So yeah, it started, and I think now it deploys the ICP ledger and so on, the ICP index, internet entity, the satellites, and now it should do the configuration. Yeah, and we are good. Huh? So here I can sign in, create an authentication, and I got all my setup that should be ready. I think so. Yeah, and I can enter stuff. Okay, so yeah, it works out. Huh? So I was thinking is now in that sample repo, we can enter entries. So what we can do, maybe since our challenge is to expose data on HTTP as a JSON file, maybe we can try to have like one JSON that contains all these entries. Maybe you can think that this example app is kind of like I don't know, it's like that's our admin view, right? And we have kind of like making the data public is our goal. That's maybe that's our scenario. So to make this happen, we want to use serverless function. So to build those serverless function, we need to supercharge the smart contract. So what we're gonna do, by the way, just to say that should be documented, huh? I guess so. If you go to build function, you have all this comment and explanation and so on, and the eject should be there. Yeah, exactly. So what we do is we eject the smart contract, and now I'm gonna have to use Rust rover because it becomes Rust, right? So here now I have a satellite, you see, and in that satellite, so that was the text, huh? And here I just gonna commit the file so that I have always like I like to commit the initial file because then it's always easier to come backwards if I screw something while developing, like going back in time, like with a clean first commit. Um, oh, what's that? I'm gonna take that too. So that's the log file, similar to the package log, right? All right. So okay. All right. So if I take this, I'm also gonna zoom, right? Okay. All right. Okay. So here in that satellites, we just have like there's asynchronous hooks and synchronous assertion that we can tweak, right? So if we check briefly how it works, it's like we save data with the setDoc from our JavaScript, and this one gonna calls the hooks where we want to do stuff. So basically, what we want to do is we have the front-end client. Here we're gonna call like a set document, right? And the set documents calls the smart contract, which here gonna save the document and gonna answer. But at the same time that it does that, I also want, I don't know, this one to, can I do that? Yeah. I also want it to call it himself so that here we can do like, we can generate the JSON file. That's kind of the idea. I'm really good at doing schema, you see. So, all right. So let's try to do that. So first of all, I want to check if that calls works. So what I gonna do is here, I just gonna enter hello. Let's yeah, small steps. So now that this works, that will take some times because it's gonna need to fetch some dependencies, I guess. But what it's gonna do, it's gonna build that new version of the smart contract, and once it's updated, it should update the things. But yeah. So we're not gonna wait too much. I'm gonna try to see if anyone saying something. No, so let's do it that, and while he's doing that, we already gonna start defining our types. So if we, yeah, my machine is super slow, right? Like really slow. Whoa. I'm glad I've got a Mac M2. So you see, that's from the JavaScript side, that's the note I'm saving. So we are saving like a text and an optional URL path. So that's the type we want to redefine in our backend, because the backend is type once we began to do some serverless function. So just gonna check if that stuff, yeah, slowly, yeah. It's the first time you start, but after it's cool. So let me close that one to have also all other examples in the same workspace. Yeah, because Rust is I'm not as fluent as Rust as am I in JavaScript, I have to say. So I always need to pick a bit some examples I've got there and there to find. So yeah. All right. So here I think I got an example of types. Right. So doesn't matter. I'm just gonna take that and all right. So we says that we have a text, right? And an URL which is optional. And we need third to deserialize that. Yeah. Looks like I really need to fetch all the scripts to bring back my computer to life. It's like it's loading everywhere. You're almost there. Come on. Alright. I guess streaming doesn't help. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, come on. Yeah, then. Alright. Okay, just gonna. Is it better? No, here it's indexing. I love it. Come on. Allez. Yeah, if there is like a bug after waiting, I'm gonna cry. Thanks for asking. Yeah, right now I'm building all by myself, but um, uh, I've contact with freelancer friends of mine in the network. For example, with everything that comes to design, I go to my friends Didier. There was a freelancer that helped to do some stuff on the website, and right now, yeah, maybe I never shared that yet, but my friend Benjamin, who happened to be in the call too, gonna help Juno with the marketing and everything around it within the next 3 months. So yeah, it works like that right now. But the idea is also to yeah, I kind of like I don't want to build that alone anymore, kind of, if I can say that way. And I also want to Juno not just to be a side project, but kind of to become like a real community effort and so on. So that's why I want to, my target is to try to propose a SNS within the, yeah, let's say next 2 3 months or something like that. And then if it works, that will be, yeah, you know, like then it becomes a DAO, and then you have contributors and so on, and yeah, it will be like really fun. So go back to the to the crate. You see here it has generated the files, and here if I come here, the backend of Juno is the local backend automatically detects when something is new and install that for you. So it has been done. So if I go back here and add an entry, I should see, you see here we see our hello world. So yeah, so that's a good first step, right? So I just gonna delete that one. So what we want to do now, that's actually really close to this example except the end. So I just gonna follow along. So it's not a person, it's a node. So here we're gonna say let's go, and here, so, and it's not gonna be mutable. So what we do, I need those two functions. and I explain. Okay. All right. So I have that here. We are good. What we do is on that function, we receive an object, a context, and I cannot show you because for some reason Rust Rover doesn't resolve stuff, which is a bit weird. So let's try to start it again since crack. So yeah, yeah, you see we have colors now. So, yeah, so that context, we got a hook context, and in that hook I get the caller that called the function originally and the data within that things. And in for a document, I get which collection was called, I get which key was used, and the data. And if we check the data is a doc upsert because we get optionally the document that existed before and the document that exists after. So that way we can kind of make lots of stuff. But here we are interested in the document after, right? Because what we want to do is to build the JSON file for what we generate. So we get the context, data, it's not super name, but maybe you can find that somewhere. And we're gonna have it. And we use decode doc data because, as you may know, it's like all the data of Juno are encoded as blob, as bytes in the smart contract. So what we do here, we basically take this data and we transform those to structured value using under the hood. It's just deserialize and serialize to JSON. Just gonna take one question. Yeah, one, like, I mean, like, that's the plan. It's like, in my opinion, Juno should or must become a DAO because, like, I always provide, or Juno always provides the satellites, and I send code, and then you get a WASM, and then you upgrade your smart contract, and you're like, yeah, super, it works. Everything is based on trust, and of course you can trust me for sure. But somehow I think, and it would make way more sense if there would be a governance that can review these proposals and say, yeah, that WASM that is sent to the developer is definitely legit. So yeah, that's why I think it needs a DAO. Right. So here we have the data. Okay. Hmm. I'm not even sure that we need to do that because basically I'm trying to decode something. Yeah. Anyway, let's go with the flow, and I'm not sure about the solution, so we're gonna have to to find out. Let me 2 seconds. Blah blah blah. That's for a set, but that's not what we want. We don't want to do that. So here, basically what we want here, we want to build a JSON file, and then we want to upload the JSON file to the memory so that it becomes available on the web, right? So here I'm gonna put that, but that's not the one that I want to use. We want to use So we want to use, so can't, it's not a document, we want to get chunks, set chunk. That's a neat trick. Interesting. So it looks like we actually don't have the function exposed to save a document. Yeah, that was really a good idea to make that example. So here I'm opening the source code of Juno, right? And exposing a JSON file is similar to setting up an alternative origin. So we can have a look how I do that, right? So here, if we go to the storage, somewhere we should have the alternative origin and blah blah URL blah blah here probably. So update alternative. You see here I've got a function that does upload assets. And here what it does, it takes the assets and it does that. And then it updates the runtime. Because so it means that here we somehow need the function insert asset, right? Okay, that's interesting. Oh. Right, try to explain what I'm looking for, right? So here we have all data, alternative origin, the strategy, and this one, at least it's complicated enough. Okay, so if we go back to our example, here I know we can build the JSON file. Here, that's no problem. I know I have the data, I know I can find other documents, that's not an issue. Where I'm currently limited is the fact that here I would need something like that upload or set the JSON file directly, something like that, and that doesn't exist yet. So yeah, we can actually try to build it, I would say. Decode data, transform a blob into an object of type node. Exactly, one. That's what it does. So if I take that's kind of, if that would be JavaScript, that would be const data json.parse this basically, except that that's not a string, that's byte array, but that's basically what we are doing here. And here then the data is of type node. And contrary, if I want to, you see, if I want to save back something, I'm gonna do encode. So basically I manipulate the data, I do encode, and then I see, I can show you actually, it doesn't matter. So let's say that here we have our node and I can modify my node, okay? And what I want to do is I want to take the note and update the text by saying checked. Okay, so what I do is here I take the text and I add the word checked dot and I set that back to the text. Then I encode back the node that we have manipulated to a byte array. Okay, and then I want to save that back to the satellite. So what I have to do, I have to take that piece of code which does the following. It sets what? Ah, nice, it's not up to date. It sets the data. Here the description, I reuse the same description, and here I also use the same version because you know there is that checks that only the current version can be updated and so on. And then I save that in the, so that's the function. All right, so if I build this, it should be faster this time. Yeah, right. So it deploys. All right, and here you see if I say hello 1 2 3, here I got hello 1 2 3 checked because here if I say hello and 1 2 3, then did hello 1 2 3 checked and then set. Okay, and basically what we want to do here, it's kind of, we don't want to manipulate that. We want to generate a JSON here, and instead of saying in the doc, we want to save that in the storage. Hope that makes sense. All right, so we still have 10 minutes, so I think we're gonna spend maybe like 2 or 3 minutes just trying to figure out if I found that set asset stuff, and then maybe we can discuss the next iteration. All right, so yeah, we were in Juno, so we saw that we use that set docstore. Agree? And here that stack docstore is exposed, so we have delete docstore, delete store, delete store, blah blah, the loggers, blah blah, count asset store, delete asset store, count. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm really looking for a function that allows me to upload that file. So I really need something that does. So that's my key, and that's the one we want. That's the one we want. Create asset with content. Exactly. I don't know why. Ah, yeah, that's really nice. Okay, so where are we? We are in storage, and that stuff is exposed. Yeah. So what I gonna have to do is, you see that comes from a utility. No, in storage. So what we're gonna have to do is take that function in the satellite's code and expose it so that me as the developer of the serverless function, I can ultimately come here and say that, and then here I'm gonna pass my asset, and here I'm gonna say full pass, just pseudocode. That's gonna be my file.json, you know, And here I'm gonna have like content, for example, and that's gonna be the JSON data for the node. Okay? Yeah, all right. That sounds good. So it's a bit short, so I don't think I'm gonna start that today. Let's do that. Either I manage to do that a bit this week. Otherwise, I would say that's gonna be the goal for next Juno Live, that we try to implement that within Juno, and as validation, we try to use it here. Hope that sounds good. For for other iteration, I also want to say that the idea of this stream is also to support each other. So if anyone has an idea or a problem that we should discuss during that call, I'm more happy to do so. You know that you can always reach me out either on Twitter, Discord, or OpenChat. And beside that, I was thinking that maybe one of the things we can also try to build, but that can take some time, is, you know, like in Juno you have that monitoring in place that send you an email uh, each time your cycles are done and stuff. So I was thinking that maybe we can also try to build one day that kind of example where we have like a Web2 backend that sends some email or something. And yeah, I was thinking that we can do that every Monday at the same time, like at 3 p.m. Looks kind of cool. Um, I don't know if I will manage to keep the pace like forever on every Monday, but I mean we can try a bit and see how it goes. All right. So yeah, like I say, we just try to build stuff and we iterate from there. I hope it was cool enough. And yeah, so if there is no other question, talk soon and enjoy your day, evening, or whatever. Bye bye.